I'm sure Babambante Bapatroba Santivin Livitolaka ke Mukitim Zamai. The MMC responsible for development, planning, as well as housing for Maspalaki. First thing, maybe I apologize for who fika late. I know initially na recopile meeting will saying 9 so that I can also do other things, but it's a haketla hape katola punch and then I had a bit of an issue kakoloi. So that is why I get late. But in any case, before we start the meeting, I'm just going to ask MaryAnne, you don't mind if I do the language that you do not understand, do you?
As long as they have
Perfect. All right. So, two things from you in terms of the engagement. There must be respect, haribua, and then like I introduce myself, Kina MMC Muketem Tsamai. And then before Hubali any issues, I would like to read from Panenka in our engagement so that meeting or not my hand again. Perfect. So first thing is first, I was here sometime last year. In terms of what we are thinking of in terms of Batuwa Monana or how to make sure Batuwa Moba accommodated or Batola Budulo Bobo. But good, after the meeting that I had Lilona Mo, there was also a little bit of confusion and also misinterpretation. So on the basis of that, councillor this time we must also make sure the speaker's office is paying for support and then so that they can also take the minutes in case any issues at a later stage. Last year, and then the commitment, and I also said in terms of the way forward. Meeting last year. Can I just check by a show of hands? Alright, so you'd recall certain bold statements in terms of the plans and how is it that going forward to make sure and giving you a proper human settlement. And I know very well complain for the longest time, but Boitumelo and then there's no services stating from Maspala and they feel as if like only got the election campaign afterwards. And then there was also the complaints reality, and then we come and do that and then disappear. And I committed to say, if anything is a then linale opportunity as by ahiba monana honka bohato buiting to make sure at least the voices are not out. And I even made before the election we must start to see some improvement in terms of Mapelo Alona, and then we must also be at a point where we can prove or receive Alona Autolapi. As we speak, Noji, Maubani, in actual fact, Jabona and Tatemo Chote Kamokamrao, and I know on the social media. So Tatemo total says or Uta confirm Alina. This week, Nancy Kilebi Zika Batubastelo, especially Baba, Julanka Harameti, and all of those kind of things with Ashoyari, Reba Fale Fati, Reba allocate a molding handle, and then more Reba allocate and thing. Reba Rinkile Fatila government, Kenya Meti, and then Reba electricity for sewer, and then Reba Kente thing, in actual fact, Ricardo Bakenya thing, Kalabunele Fitile. So that program is still continuing. So for the last couple of weeks, I've been focusing on So in terms of Luna, I can explain there's two options or there's two things they must follow data. Maspala ou in discussions le ekuruleni ka lefatile le dulang holona. So lefatile le dulang holona le onwa ke ekuruleni le onwa ke ervat e onwa ke ekuruleni. Ga o tsisa ke. So moli dulang teng ke lefatile onwa ke ervat, and then ervat yona e onwa ke ekuruleni. So that means ultimately the people that are responsible for lefatile ke council ya ekuruleni. sometime last year, or for the last 2 years, nente ke kopana le majoro wa Ekurhuleni, le councillor ya Ekurhuleni, mo ne re discuss hore ba re fa lefatshe le jwang so that re kgone ho kenya di permanent services for lona. So in our engagements le bona, Ervat ne le teng, the mayor ya Ekurhuleni ne le teng, the senior MMCs and senior officials, including the municipal manager as well as the CFO, who were part of that meeting. And then tumelano e rileng ga etsa le Ekurhuleni ka letsatsi le go okay Ekurhuleni because re ba hlaloseditse re batla ho etsang ka lefatshe le, but it's fine, we will give you lefatshe, however there's the processes that government in terms of masipala that they need to follow. So re ba file nako to follow the processes still. The processes still they include taking an item to council ya Ekurhuleni, mo Ekurhuleni to transfer lefatshe le to masipala. Even though le ka hara Mid Valley, lefatshe lona ho tloha kgale ntse le onwa ke Ekurhuleni for the purpose of Ervat. So that is why I keep on mentioning Ekurhuleni in my discussions le lona. So re la dumellana le Ekurhuleni, so it's just a matter of them finalizing that process and making sure ya ba hand over the property to masipala. If they can do that, then it makes it easier for Rona. Already re na le plan for lefatshe lena. MaryAnne, there's already a layout and studies that were done for this particular property. And then property in Pills Farm and make sure they are also accommodated in the same property. Because you recall about Pills Farm, more baduting thing, it's also the fatile own Pilis, which means it's a private property. So Masipala, if it's a private property, who install a permanent services because le fatileo asila Masipala. So we are only allowed as government to install permanent services for baahi ba rona if le fatileo le onwa ke either the provincial government through an agreement between rona le bona kapa le onwa ke Masipala. That is why in this case re try ho thola le fatile le transferuwe ho Masipala wa Mid Valley for hore kgone install the permanent services. So that was the first option I keep willing last year to say, and then we already have a layout, a temporary layout plan, and then the studies. I'm going to forward the studies to Beulah so that Beulah affair council and then council share its own. So we did some studies to check the soil condition, to check certain things, to make sure at least especially by community and then badule in a decent human settlement. So that was the first option. The second option that I touched on, I explained to you, just next to Strelo. R77 Lankale. So cancelling last month, cancelling last month, re-approving the fatileo la Lankale 77 in terms of the Musebeti Okale to unlock and make sure we are able to implement it. Le council resolution it's a public document. Anyone can access that document. I think MaryAnne already Leona, and then we were very clear about that particular property. Mtwere buileng as Masipala wa Mid Valley ka property a Lankale 77, read the following. Read Lankale 77 because ke lefatshe le holo le tlo nka batho ba bangata. Re tlo kenya batho ba Strelo Ward 8, then re nke batho ba Strelo Ward 10. And then renke any other properties or batubadulang for the private properties or other informal settlements within Mid Valley so that we formalize them and give them lefatimo. So Lankale 77 as we speak, draft layout plan I think irifa about more than 6,000 yard included more. But what we then said as Masipala Kori, we do not only want the RDP houses, we must also have what we call a mixed development. So when we say Haribuaka mixed development, Haribuaka something similar to Savannah City. So Batubati and Savannah City, Savannah City now the RDP honali dipondi. That means we cover for every one that is in need of human settlement. So that is also what we are trying to implement in terms of Lankale 77. But Lankale 77, There's also processes that have to be followed to make sure re fihla mo etsa sure le fatshe is suitable for what we want to do. And then ha re qeta mosebetsi also ntso qadile. And then I must share with you also already PRT, which is the provincial professional resources team, has been appointed who etsa mosebetsi o etsa sure re lokisetsa ho sebedisa lefatshe leo for the allocation. Le batho ba Boitumelo, they will also benefit bao ba qualifyang who allocate wa lefatsheng leo. I think he explained lona last time to say ha re allocator, there's also processes that need to be followed. And then some of those processes they include our check out batho ba rona number 1, are they willing to relocate to, or ba willing who move ho ya lefatsheng leo na. So since ke bua ka Boitumelo, ke bua ka Pills Farm, ke bua ka Khayelitsha, because lefatshe leo le holenyana le lona, and then ke a tseba ba bang ba sebetsa haufinyana mo. I also need to make sure ke na le a proper public participation mo badudi ba monana ba tlo dumela hore ba dumela le bona ba movelo mo wa ke. So ke tlo khutla hape le councillor le the office of the speaker re bitse a formal meeting ha se re le ready ka taba tsa di allocation to make sure re ga le tsebisa hore lefatshe le ready, and then this is the process that is going to be followed. But before we fihla mo, I also explained to say anyone that is going to be allocated either more in terms of the negotiations, whichever comes first. The process is we must make sure we resign about to the subsidy. And then planning the subsidy is already underway. MaryAnne, I must share with you to say within the next 2 to 3 months, we will be implementing the plan that is subsidy. So ha re bua ka subsidy re bua ka hore re tlo tla re bitse meeting, and then anyone a hlokang bodulo o tlameha ho tla a tlo ngodisa, and then a tlatse form eo re bitsang subsidy administration form. So form eo e hloka batho ba as if o sebetsa o khole less than 3,500. Immediately o khola 3,501 cent, you do not qualify. It ibe mududi wa South Africa, which means it has to be a citizen, and then that one we are not compromising on. And then another thing, it must be that moto o ha asoka atola government, and then ha asoka owner any house anywhere. So that means we'll also make sure we check the deeds office to make sure there's no one that benefited, because I also know Renale batho ba bang be loreng ba ileng ba allocate wa Savannah City, and then motho ya mo ha qeta rekisa ntwa hotela Mphukung mona. So it's another thing that we are trying to make sure that we deal with. So those are some of the processes that will be followed to make sure at least we get people allocated for property new. So those are the two options they keep willing at zona. So I must say I was very disappointed. Hani ke thola message o tswa ho councillor antwetsang hore hona le batho ba reng ke itse by January or by February re tlo allocate, and if we do not allocate le kwale le or something like that. That is completely unacceptable. I was very clear to say if we do not deliver within our term, then in the next term it makes sense if later jwalo. But I did not say within 2 months if ke sa khutlo lona le le kwale ditsela. So that I cannot accept, and I was very disappointed actually the message tse jwalo, because ha re bua le mphakathi, especially ha ke bua le mphakathi, ke bua ka development ya mphakathi, ha ke bue politiki, ke tle ho lona as mosebetsi wa masipala affluent responsibility to deal with human settlement. So I cannot accept hore politiki e kene mahareng a ka le ho sebeletsa mphakathi wa rona mo ke tlo jwetswang hore ke tse ntho tse itseng. So ne ke tlo kopa tshebedisano e very clear le baahi ba rona, especially ba Boitumelo, because I fully understand for nako e telele le dutse le metse government le provide services, and then there's also complaints that le bona di development di etsala di plekeng tse di mara lona le sietswe morao, and I know hona le ba bangata ba hlaetse monana sebile ba holetse monana, and then we are even not approving hore batho ba extend mekhukhu and all of those kind of things. So it's on the basis of that hore ke khutlile ho lona hape to explain and clarify and then make the commitment tse itseng. So meeting wa kasheko, the reason happy ke tse speaker's office meeting is because ne ke batlile hore ba tle ba tlo nka di minutes so that the minutes, if anyone in the next coming months or whatever the case may be, I don't want on the basis of the episode thing, and then our MMC, you lied to us or you did not keep to the promises that how I can. So it makes sense that way. So meeting Wakashepu is going to be a formal recorded meeting whereby Ahibaruna can access the minutes as soon as the speaker's office declares Takatona. And then should at a later stage fall there and then not keep to those arrangements and not come back up alone, then it would be okay for you to fully hold me accountable on the things that I fully said. It makes sense. So I fully understand, especially Pilwaka Yukaploko Hampakibona, Batuaba Holo, Nzebata meeting year in, year out, Nzebafuadi Tepi so Titi. And I made a commitment and there's 2 properties already that you guys may qualify for. May qualify for, meaning we've got property in Ana Ilinya Ervat. If Isaita Haleka Pili, then we also have another property in Langale 77. Has the process started together, which is something very pushing as a matter of agency. At least you can benefit for property in. So what we are trying to do for Langale 77 is 2 things. We are going to have the options it's our Fanaka Lefati, which is a service stance. So Arabuaka is service stance, Ribuaka Lefati, lekentwe mate, lekentwe sewer, lekentwe electricity. And then Bao Banalembohoni, Bao Kahela, Hanse by Mete government people at the RDP. Those can proceed by Wikahela. Marabas Nambohoni, at least at a later stage, you can wait up until government is, but at least it's a or any more in the Fatila how on the title deed thing, at least it's about Banaba how, but benefit out of that. So Nekipupari keep it that way. So the main purpose of today's engagement was to clarify that and then still explain the 2 properties that I spoke about. They still stand, but then they are reliant on us being able to fulfill certain commitments. And then the main one, in terms of them finalizing this process. The second one, in terms of your EIA finalization, and then the one so I think I try to one because and weekend and all of those kind of things. So we stop a more and then I will allow the questions if any questions. So when I report on the phone.